Before the whistle, before the rails, before Main Street and courthouse tales, there were pines and red clay roads, quiet prayers where Wrightsboro rose. Old rock house standing through the years, stone and memories still standing here. Long before the town would shine, history was marking Thompson time. First there was Wrightsboro Quaker ground, simple faith and a stubborn sound, fields and wagons, work and grace, Georgia wind on an older place. The little river kept rolling by, seasons turned beneath the sky, and every hand that cleared that land left a mark time still understands. Oh, Thompson, Georgia time, railroad steel and church bell chime, red clay heart with a soul that sings, built on work and weathered dreams. From Wrightsboro days to downtown lights, from depot calls to chameleon nights, every mile and every line runs through Thompson, Georgia time. Then the railroad changed it all, smoke and iron, the engines call. In 1837 the depot came, and Slashes was the early name. In 1853 the town was known for J. Edgar Thompson, far from home. In 1854 it was made a town, and the tracks brought the wide world down. Stores and hotels started to rise, promise growing before their eyes. Then fire came in 86, and again in 88 came the same hard hit. But the people here don't stay laid low, they rebuild strong when the hard winds blow. Brick by brick and hand by hand, they built this town again to stand. Oh, Thompson, Georgia time, railroad steel and church bell chime, red clay heart with a soul that sings, built on work and weathered dreams. From Wrightsboro days to downtown lights, from depot calls to chameleon nights, every mile and every line runs through Thompson, Georgia time. McDuffie County drew the line, and in 1870 came Thompson's time. The county seat was planted here, and the town stepped forward year by year. Telephone lines in 1901, new voices traveling one by one, water, power, streets and trade, a stronger town was slowly made. Thomas C. Watson rose from here, a thunder voice folks still can hear. Love him or not, his name remains in Georgia talk and public names. He pushed for mail on country roads, hope delivered to distant homes. History's never simple or clean, but every town keeps all it's seen. Then came music from these streets, Blind Willie McTell and 12-string grief, a sound from Thompson rolling wide like a midnight train through the countryside. From Happy Valley to Stages Far, he carried this town in every bar. That blues still hums when evening falls, like a ghost in the depot walls. A city's more than maps and signs, more than numbers, dates and lines. It's football lights and Sunday clothes, front porch talk and camellias glow. It's teachers, farmers, workers, preachers, parents, dreamers, hometown keepers, all the souls through loss and pride who kept Thompson alive through time. Oh, Thompson, Georgia time. Oh, Thompson, Georgia time, red clay shine, oh, Thompson time.
Before the whistle, before the rails, before Main Street and courthouse tales, there were pines and red clay roads, quiet prayers where Wrightsboro rose. Old rock house standing through the years, stone and memory still standing here. Long before the town would shine, history was marking Thompson time. There was Wrightsboro, Quaker ground, simple faith and a stubborn sound. Fields and wagons, working grace, Georgia wind on an older place. The little river kept rolling by, seasons turned beneath the sky, and every hand that cleared that land left a mark time still understands. You can still hear the echoes call called old slashes to Thompson rising in the flame. In 1854 the town stood tall and the wide world started rolling in. Storefront glass and hotel windows, a new Georgia story could begin. Then the fires came hard and sudden, tried to bring the whole town down, but the people here are built for rebuilding. Brick by brick they saved this town. When McDuffie drew its borders, Thompson took the county seat, and with every year the town kept growing, standing strong on red clay streets. Oh, Thompson time, red clay heart and a soul that shines, railroad steel and the church bells ring. This old town still makes us sing. From the rock house stone to the downtown lights, from depot days to chameleon nights, every road and every sign leads back home to Thompson time. Telephone wires started humming, new voices running line to line. Water, power, hope and progress, a stronger town in its own sweet time. Thomas Watson rose from here, a hard-edged voice in a changing land. History's never clean or simple, but it leaves its mark by human hands. Then a 12-string cried from Thompson, blind Willie McTell, let the whole world know there was blues down in these back roads, soul in the dust and the midnight glow. From Happy Valley to distant stages, he carried this town in every rhyme, and you can still hear that ghost note ringing somewhere deep in Thompson time. We were built by fire, we were raised by faith, still standing stronger every day. Through the years, through the pain, through the storms and through the rain, Thompson lives, Thompson remains.
Before the whistle, before the rails, before Main Street and courthouse tales, there were pines and red clay roads, quiet prayers were Wrightsboro rose. Old rock house standing through the years, stone and memories still standing here. Long before the town would shine, history was marking Thompson time.
First there was Wrightsboro Quaker ground, simple faith and a stubborn sound, fields and wagons, work and grace, Georgia wind on an older place.
The little river kept rolling by, seasons turned beneath the sky, and every hand that cleared that land left a mark time still understands. Oh, Thompson, Georgia time, railroad steel and church bell chime, red clay heart with a soul that sings, built on work and weathered dreams. From Wrightsboro days to downtown lights, from depot calls to chameleon nights, every mile and every line runs through Thompson, Georgia time. Then the railroad changed it all, smoke and iron, the engines call. In 1837 the depot came, and Slashes was their early name. In 1853 the town was known. J. Edgar Thompson.
That's probably just going from the road. From the center of the road. From the edge of the road.
So it's in the center, how far?
So I think it was going 40 feet.
No. So that's what we're talking about. I don't have a problem with that at all. There's your field. That's good. Like I said, this is kind of a half of here. It's kind of a before you get.
She already has that. She already has those.
I don't know, I'm not gonna ask that question. I do want to find that. Did I send that to you? Yes, right here. I'll find it in here if I have to, just on the special exception thing. You know, that's only examples. It's not only. I think that's gonna come up tonight.
Oh yeah, the guy's there waiting.
Is it?
This is about to be fun.
Yeah.
I hope the commission is ready. Ready? I got 6:35. What time y'all got?
6:30. Alright, I'm looking for. Alright, you ready? I am ready. Alright, let me get my. All right, folks, it's 6:30. We call the meeting to order. Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. This is planning and zoning meeting for this month. I think first thing we all do is stand, say the pledge.
Let's have a prayer first.
You don't have a prayer first? Oh, we're gonna have a prayer first, all right?
You may say it.
Yeah.
Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this Easter season. We thank you for giving your Son that we may live abundantly. Now quiet our minds and open our ears that we may discuss the zoning issues with McDuffie County. All these things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. You stand, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we do have a quorum present, 5 members. Let me say the prayer. Call to order.
I do have minutes from January and March.
January.
You guys to sign, please.
All right, we'll work through the minutes. You want a motion on those? Huh? Motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I second
I'm done. That's done. Any announcements? Actually, well, that's appointment due ones. None of those. No old business. Good.
I would like to do a quick read announcement on the town of Deering annexation.
Yep.
Get that out the way. So the town of Deering has notified the county in regards to an annexation of parcels 007200003B00 and parcel 007200003B01. The first one is 17 acres. The second one is 5 acres, and that will be annexing over to the town of Deering. Ms. Jennifer Perkins, the clerk in the town of Deering, did want this read in the planning commission meeting, so you guys will be aware.
All right, we are now aware of that.
All right. So the first staff report I have is for 306 Walnut Street. Is Ms. Teresa Fountain here? Great. The issue here is the consideration of a request for a special exception to allow placement of one RV camper on the property located at 306 Walnut Street. The applicant, Mrs. Fountain, is requesting approval to place an RV camper on the subject property to provide housing for her elderly father who is partially blind and requires 24-hour care. The proposed use is intended to allow close proximity for caregiving purposes. The facts and findings: the subject property is zoned R2. An RV camper is an accessory dwelling or structure which is not permitted, is not a permitted use by right within the R2 district. The applicant proposes the RV camper for a personal family use only, specifically for her father. A code enforcement violation notice was issued on March 12, 2026 regarding the placement and use of the RV camper. The applicant was given 7 days to correct the violation and apply for a special exception within that time frame. The proposed use is residential in nature and intended for family caregiving with appropriate conditions. The RV camper is not expected to significantly alter the character of the surrounding residential area. Subject to proper permitting and inspections for electrical and plumbing connections, the request is not anticipated to adversely impact public health or safety. The property is served by existing utilities. Any connections to the RV camper will be required to meet county code and inspection standards. The proposed use will not generate additional traffic beyond typical residential use. The use is limited in scope and residential nature, with conditions limiting to use to a family member. Nuisance impacts are expected to be minimal. While not permitted by right, the request aligns with the intent of providing reasonable accommodation for residential living situations when properly conditioned and reviewed. Staff recommends approval of the special exception request, subject to the following conditions. The RV camper should comply with all applicable setback requirements of the R2 zoning district. All electrical and plumbing work should be completed by appropriately licensed contractors and permitted through McDuffie County. Required inspections should be completed and approved before June 1st, 2026. The RV camper should be used solely for the care of the applicant's father and shall not be used as a separate rental or independent dwelling unit.
Brought a piece of paper from the doctor showing that he's legally blind in both eyes.
Could you just state your name and your address for us? That's just for the record, that's all.
My name's Teresa Fountain, 306 Walnut Street, Thompson, Georgia.
All right, well, step up a little closer to the microphone there at the podium and just tell us your story. I know Leslie told most of it, but
Yeah, he told most of it.
you can put a little personal side on it.
Since he done told majority of it, I am his daughter, and the camper is in the yard that I stay in. And somebody's always there at my house 24/7 where we go make sure you take his bath and feed him and stuff. He don't cook there or do anything. He just sleep, watch TV, and might use a microwave every now and then.
Yeah.
But other than that, we do everything just for him.
So this is your father?
Yes,
How old's your father?
he'll be 90
90?
in July.
Okay. Still going, that's good. I really don't have any questions about it. How big is the camper, I guess? That was one, just a bumper pull type camper?
Yes.
Is it? Okay, so it's just not a big camper. I think one of the things that Leslie, that you had read there is that has to meet the setbacks where you place it on the property. And that's really just that it's not close to the neighbor's place, I guess.
Because I don't think it's gonna meet it.
Pardon me?
Will that one be able to meet the setbacks though?
Is this in the
We
city?
would have to, it's in the city.
It's in the city.
Yeah, so that's gonna be,
Well, it needs to meet, basically, when you look, I've got the map up here, just looking at the other properties, it's gonna have, setbacks must be 10 feet on the sides, is it?
It is.
In the city? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's in there. So, I don't have any.
And I believe it's something that says 5 feet for accessory or something like that.
That's right, accessory building is a little bit different, you're right, so it's gonna be classified as an accessory. Okay. Business.
Are you planning on removing the camper when your father dies?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the condition, that it is only for your.
Number
Pardon me, what's that?
That was number 4 in the condition.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Be looking back through, because there's anything else that, Leslie doesn't have me in order. I just want to go back over the patients. There we go. Setback requirements are all electrical employment work should be completed per the license commercial electric permitted, required inspections. Industry carriers, installers. All right. I don't, anybody else have any other questions or?
No, I don't.
You know,
I do have a problem with a 90-year-old man that's blind living in a camper, but if you can live with it, I can.
That's what he wanted. He don't want to stay with nobody, 'cause we done asked him. He feel like we'll be taking away some of his rights. So, you know how they is when they get out in their ways.
Step in their ways, I do. All right, I'll open them for motion.
I make a motion that we approve it with the 4 items of the RV camper, meeting the setback requirements, the electrical and plumbing being completed by a professional licensed contractor. And the inspection should be completed and approved before June the 1st, 2026. And RV camper should be used solely for your father's use, and afterwards it could not be used.
Can't be a rental.
Not-
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor, raise your right hand. All right.
It's past our board, ma'am. Commissioners meetings in
May 14th.
May 14th?
It's the
April
city, so she got to.
Oh, the city.
City.
Yeah,
Okay,
May 14th. I tried to get it for later this week, but it was a no-go.
okay.
Come back May 14th, and we'll go up on the city council. Thank you. All right. The next one I have is for Miss Angela Hutchins at 615 White Oak. This is a special exception to allow a travel agency business to occupy 615 White Oak Street. It's a .43 total acres in a R1B zone. The applicant is requesting approval to operate Angie's Travel Experience and More LLC a travel agency providing services such as travel planning, vacation consultations, and coordination of group travel experiences. The proposed business will be located within an existing structure on the subject property. The subject property is zoned R1B. The existing structure previously received approval to operate a barbershop in November of 2024, indicating prior allowance of a limited commercial use within the residential district. The proposed travel agency will operate primarily by appointment, resulting in minimal customer traffic. The use is expected to function as a low impact professional office, maintaining compatibility with the surrounding residential character. No exterior changes or site modifications have been indicated that would alter the residential appearance of the property. The proposed use is similar in intensity to the previously approved barbershop and is expected to remain compatible with surrounding residential properties. The low-intensity, appointment-based nature of the business is not expected to create adverse impacts on public health, safety, or welfare. The site is served by existing utilities and road infrastructure sufficient to support the proposed use. Traffic generation is expected to be minimal due to the appointment-based business model. The proposed use is office-oriented and is not expected to generate noise, odor, or other nuisance impacts. Staff recommends approval of the special exception request, subject to the following conditions. The business shall operate as a low-impact appointment-based office use. No exterior changes shall be made that alter the residential character of the structure without further approval. Business hours shall be limited to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Signage shall be limited to one non-illuminated sign compatible in size and character with the residential setting and shall comply with county sign regulations. The use shall comply with all applicable county codes and ordinances.
Great day, all.
How are you doing?
Hi.
Just state your name and your address, please, just for the
Okay.
record.
Angela Miller Hudgen, address 615 White Oak Street, Thompson.
Okay. You live at the residence?
No, I
Okay,
purchased
yeah.
it from,
We'll use that as your.
yes,
Do you own the property or is it are you renting it?
I own it.
You own, okay. Previously, I do recall the last time the gentleman was in here for the barber shop, so he was leasing it, I believe, but it was somebody related to his family. All right. Tell us a little bit about what your plans are and how your travel agent's gonna operate. This is my daycare up here.
Yes, he did a wonderful job at explaining my intent, which is definitely to operate my business out of it. Low impact, primarily with appointment settings. It will not affect the community, my neighbors. Is actually in a fence with a lock. So like I said, we'll operate by appointments, and occasionally I have a few people over for like training or just to go over some things. So like I said, low impact on traffic.
Okay. I don't really have a lot of questions or comments on it. I believe, Leslie, I mean, you're new also, but
It's been a business for as long as I can remember. Or been here, and I've only been here 15 years, so a long time. It has been a business. It is a low impact in terms of the residents in the neighborhood. It's a very busy street, so that's not an issue. I see no other issues. Anybody else? Any comments? No church mice. You all good? No. I'll open for a motion.
I move to accept the recommendation of the staff with the 4 outlined, 5 outlined, and we talked about them. Appointment only, no exterior changes, no lit up signs. My tongue's not working tonight. But anyway, we welcome the business tax.
All in favor? Raise your right hand. Oh, we need a second, sorry. I'm moving right along.
You said that.
Second. All in favor? Raise your right hand. This is city also, correct?
Yes.
It says county on here, but it is city.
Yeah, she on the city's coming up or May?
May 14th.
Oh, they have one
They
this
wouldn't
month?
see any of it for this meeting for Thursday. They wouldn't do it.
Really? Yeah.
Thank you.
It's kind of, windows right there. Yeah, it's. Yeah, B1. All right, what's next on the agenda?
Next is Surrey Road.
Surrey Road. All right.
The issue with this is, this is Sam Fausch, which is here. The consideration of a special exception request pursuant to the McDuffie County Code of Ordinances to allow a reduced front setback of 40 feet from the construction of a single-family residence within the R2 district. The applicant, Mr. Fausch, is proposing to construct a single-family residence on the subject properties. The applicant is requesting approval for a reduced front setback due to site constraints, specifically the presence of a creek and associated flood-prone areas located on the property, which limit the buildable area. Recorded subdivision covenants for Bellmead subdivision state that no structure shall be located nearer than 35 feet from the front lot line, or as otherwise shown on the recorded plot. Facts and findings. Pursuant to McDuffie County Code of Ordinances, the R2 zoning district establishes minimum setback requirements for principal structures, including front setbacks of 100 feet. The applicant is requesting a modification to the standard setback requirement due to topographical, that's a hard word to say, constraints and the presence of a creek which may impact the reasonable use of the property. The requested 40-foot front setback appears to be consistent with and not less restrictive than the minimum setback required by the recorded subdivision covenants of 35 feet. Granting the special exception would allow for reasonable use of the property while maintaining compatibility with surrounding residential development. Any development on the property must comply with applicable floodplain management regulations if the property is located within a designated flood hazard area. Recommendation. Staff recommends approval of the special exception request subject to the following conditions. The principal structure shall maintain a minimum front setback no less than 40 feet. All development shall comply with applicable setback requirements of the McDuffie County Code of Ordinances unless otherwise modified by this approval. The proposed structure shall comply with all applicable floodplain management regulations if applicable. All other applicable local, state, and federal regulations shall be met prior to the issuance of any building permits.
That's everything you got to tell me? All right. Gentlemen's here. Come on up and just tell us about your plans and you're the lot owner?
I am,
All right.
yes, sir.
Okay.
I did drive by and look at it. You're building a home
Yes, sir.
on the property. I don't really need you to explain it again. I do understand part of it, but there's not really a story behind it per se. I do have a question. Leslie, is that it's a recorded subdivision covenants. Is it covenants or homeowners association? It's a homeowner
I understand it's
association.
a Homeowners association.
Right, okay.
So they do 35 foot and the county's saying 100 foot.
Well, and, all right, two things, just Leslie, and I don't know if we discussed this, but this subdivision was pre-zoning.
Yes.
So the lot's pre-zoning. So in order to have the 100-foot setback, I don't actually think it's gonna work anyways, on that lot, is it? They weren't designed for that setback, is I guess what I'm saying. So the pre-zoning, they're kinda,
If I had a houseboat, it would work.
yeah. It's a 100-foot back's gonna put you way back there. Like I said, it wasn't. The only thing is that, and I have seen the homeowners 35, but I'm pretty sure that 35 is from the edge of the road. You're asking for 40 foot from the center of the road. In the map, which we don't have,
Center of the road, yes, sir.
center of the road, that's a 60 foot. So you're 10 foot off the edge of the road. That road's paved.
Yes, sir.
You have any idea how far off of the pavement it's going to be your home? I'm just looking at it on a map here. If anybody wonders what I'm staring at.
Do they have this? I've got a copy of it if they want it.
Yeah, is that the plot layout where you're going to put the house?
Well, the garage is what? Do we want to get to it? Is it okay to get to it? I've got another copy too.
Oh, Lord. Oh, that's the driveway, okay. Let me just take a picture of this so I can blow it up. My concern is a little bit how close to the actual road. Blow that up. That's the center of the, all right, that is the. Where's that bigger map you had, Leslie? Just want, I question that only because it's got a 60 foot, and this has a 50 foot on it, so. That's got a 60 foot right away. But the survey, where did this, how was this generated, sorry? This one here.
The architect that drew the plans,
Oh, okay.
they put it on there.
It's got a 50 foot. This map here is a 60 foot. Let me just see how wide that road is there. Yeah, it's gonna be 60 foot. All right, so it is 60 foot. My question, I guess, looking at this is, in your plans where you've laid your home out, you're kind of, all right, step up here 1 second, just so I can explain it, what I'm looking at. Off this plan, where you have this set, he's using a 50-foot setback, so I'm assuming he's coming 25 feet off the middle of the road. It's actually a 60-foot setback, is what the actual, or sorry, 60-foot right-of-way. You got 50 foot on your property map drawn here. So if you're coming off, you're 40 feet, you're, under this scenario, if you build it on that lot, you're only 5 feet, because the road's actually 60 foot, not 50 feet. It's another 5 foot. You following me?
You lost me, I'm sorry.
All right. The actual road width is 50 feet, sorry, 60 feet.
Gotcha.
Your drawings here are based on a 50-foot road. So if you're coming from the center of the road 40 feet from a 60-foot, which the middle is,
60-foot wide road?
yes.
So I don't think that road's 60 foot wide.
The road pavement's not, but the right-of-way is.
Oh, I got you, I got
But the
you.
right-of-way that's drawn on this map is 50 feet.
Okay.
So, or my confusion, and just trying to make sure, is, so you take the center of the actual road is 30 feet.
you're coming 40 feet from there. So you're 10 foot off of the right of way. Because you're asking for a 10-foot setback. Sorry, a 40-foot setback from the center of the road, correct?
And the only reason I'm asking that is we want to be back as far as we can,
Right.
but the you can see the garage is what the main thing is. It's just the front edge of the garage.
Right.
The house is actually set back more, but we want to be back as far as we can before it drops off.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at
Gets
is
in that flood
if
zone.
the road is 60. So you've got 30 feet from the center to the edge of the road. You've asked for 40. That means that your building corner will be 10 foot off of the right of way.
Okay.
This plan has 50 feet. So if I come 25 feet in the middle, I don't know where the middle is of the road. So I'm not sure if you're going to be 5 foot, the corner of your house,
10 foot.
or 10 foot. And I'm assuming you're asking for a 10-foot setback from the edge of the road. You're asking for 40 feet from the center.
From the, yes.
From the center of the
If we're
road.
talking, I did a tape measure. I got out there and
Yeah.
measured stuff off, and it looked like it was plenty back off, but I understand what you're saying. The right of way, not the actual road itself, but the
It's
right
not the
of way.
road, it's the actual right of way. So on the map that I'm looking at, which is the county Q Public map, it is a 60-foot road. And I can show you that if you want to
No,
look at it. I mean, it's as close as I can get with Q Public, but it is.
I just go by what the builder tells me and the architect tells me, and I've spent a ton of money with both of them to
Yeah.
get to this point, so.
Well, so we're at 60 feet. And you're asking for a setback of 40 feet. So the center of this road is 30 feet from your property line. We agreed?
Okay, yes.
So you're asking for a 40-foot setback from the center of the road, which means it's 10 foot from the edge of the road. So
From the right of way.
From the right of way, not,
From the
yeah.
right.
From the right of way,
yeah.
you're only 10 feet, if it's a 60-foot. And is that the corner of your building? How far from,
That's the actual house. There's the garage right there.
Right.
So the garage would be the
Way closer to the road.
closest to the road. The house is
so
going to be further
the, so the
back.
corner of that is with 10
10
feet
feet.
from the right of way?
Yes, yes. I don't want to confuse anybody, but.
Right.
Because,
But your drawing doesn't have the road correct. I just opened my picture back up I just took. And I'm not trying to make it more confusing than what it is. So we only have,
I was just wondering if he could put his garage somewhere over here on the side.
well, I've already been through that.
You done
I
been through
spent
that?
another $2,000 last week getting them to change it because the builder said I can't put it over here because the flow of the land goes like this. And he said, you got to put it on the high spot of the land in order to get the water to drain off. He said, you got to push the house up. I want the house back as far as I can for the view, but because it drops off back in the back, they've already graded it out to where it's a smooth grade, but before they graded it, it was a steep drop off right at the back edge of the house. And they said, that's, the creek's right here, and the creek floods and stuff, so yeah, I've already been through. I've been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth till I can. I've tried to do as much due diligence as possible before I got
just trying
here.
to put some measurements on here so I can better understand where your house is gonna be, how you've got it laid out. I know everybody's gonna be.
And I'm not trying to make something that nobody,
No,
I'm,
No,
you know, and there's, if you go over, there's a road right here that goes out, and there's a road right here, and I've been out here all day, and I've seen one car pass by. There's no traffic on that road at
It's
all.
not busy, but. I go back, so that's 60, it'd be 30, that's like 25 feet.
I just want, we're gonna push it back as far as we can. I just didn't wanna have to come back after we start digging foundations and stuff and say, hey, I need to get another 5 foot or something, you know, I wanted to,
Yeah.
and I really didn't mean to cause this much of a problem.
No, I just, like I said, they're not matching, so I'm just
Yeah.
getting my head around where your house actually is gonna be versus if we give you a 40-foot from the middle of the road and you're based on a 50-foot, it's 40 from the road, so I mean, what it is what it is. You'll be 20, you'll only be 10 foot. It's a 60-foot rise, so 30 feet from the middle of the road. So you're only 10 foot off the road, 10 foot off the property, the easement. It's awful close to the,
It's real close to the road, to the right of way.
yeah, but I mean, it is, I'm just trying to get a little closer here. From the actual road, oh, and you come in there, you're, that easement, you're 30 feet. That would make sense, yeah, duh. 40 foot from the center foot, put you 10 foot on this thing, you're 30 foot, but you're, no, that doesn't work, you're 30 foot from the center. From the edge, that's 40 foot. Yeah, but you're 30 feet from the edge of the road. Still 10 feet from the center. Just looking at the other neighborhood. That's with the garage. Right there, isn't it? That's the driveway coming in?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's 25 is from the center. MBL. No, I don't know what MBL means. There's no, oh, there is on there, sorry.
What is that?
Well, I was wondering what that abbreviation was that they put on this drawing. No, it's just their site plan. You see that? Here it says, it's got 25 MBL is what it says there. So I'm assuming that is that's the edge of the street. Okay. There's what we got, but if you look at this. This is the edge of the road that they have on the drawing. The big line here.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the sidewalk comes, or his front porch. This is where the street comes from. That's the edge of the pavement there. That's actually the edge of the right-of-way. And then that's 25, that's not making sense. Oh yeah, 25 feet. There's a drawing right there. No, that's 32, that's 60, that's not a measurement, is it? 38.62? I don't know. That's to the corner of that from the side of the road. 25 feet from.
This corner right here.
That's 25 feet right there. So that's what that's the edge of the pavement. That would be about right. That would be from the edge of the pavement. And then you're.
He's still gonna be 10 feet from the right of way.
Yeah, it's 10 from the right of way, but it's.
Yeah.
It's 30 feet basically from the edge of the pavement.
Yeah.
It's not a real. Let me just do something real quick while we're talking about. I'm gonna look at these. Right there.
I held everybody up to date.
Oh, it's no problem. I just want, that's 45 feet. So looking at this house, if you were 30 feet, that's just the edge of the garage, which nobody's sleeping in there. That's just concern is just so close to the road. But like I say, it's not, that'd be 30 feet there. If you move that house up, it's 15 feet. I'm just looking, part of it is the rest of the neighborhood, the character which is within the neighborhood that we look at, so.
And there's some other houses that are close too. The garages are close.
Yeah.
We looked at that, so.
That house there, that building right there is pretty close.
Yeah, it is.
That's 20 feet. The edge, roughly. All right, that was a little further. Not a garage, that's the front porch. That's 45. From the edge of the road. I'm just looking through the pictures here of the neighborhood. That's your lot there. That one there.
I think everybody behind me hates me now.
We're used to it, don't we, buddy? That one there. There's a good example of a garage. Oh, that's really good view from there. All right, I'm all right. All right, he goes about less than anybody else want to look at the maps. Regardless of what you have drawn on your map and everything, like I said, it is 40 feet from the center of the road. We'll put you 10 foot. All right. Anybody else have any questions or concerns or want to try and figure some stuff out? I know how happy you all are when I do this.
Sam, no way your builder could move it back just a little bit if,
We're gonna try to get it back as far as we can. Cause I've already got a lot of money into the lot and I'll have a lot more in the house.
Right.
You know,
but I mean, you know, if we prove some, we gotta know the exact,
well,
Yeah,
that
once
would be
it's
the
approved.
worst case scenario where it's at, closest to the road.
right?
Our goal is to get as far back before we,
Let's say if we approved another 5 foot, would that be reasonable for you, work for you?
I don't know. I'd hate to get started and the builder say I need to, it needs to be where it's at and then I have to come back again.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
I wanted to do that, and it's not like I'm skimping here. I put a lot of money into the lot, and I put a lot more into the house. And my daughter already lives out there now, and so we've already kind of entrenched ourselves into the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so. I just don't want to get to the point where the builder says, hey, this doesn't make sense. And at this point, I might even get a divorce if it doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to make it be an eyesore. Like I said, I mean, you can see, I mean, it's going to be a 3,000 plus square foot house. I mean, it's going to be all brick construction, Ronnie Eastler's building it, he's one of the top builders, he's got a really good reputation. And I just go by what he tells me. I'm not a builder, I'm not
Right.
a guy.
So the carport's gonna be, what, 10 feet, 12 feet?
From the,
I mean, what's the length of your carport?
you talking about the width of it? It's a 3-car garage.
I'm talking about the depth.
26 feet, I think, or 20
So that
feet.
that would be the only part that would be sticking out closest to the road.
That's right, the garage. That's right.
26 feet, okay.
I mean, the garage itself is going, set back to the edge of the house, and that's 30-something, 36 feet wide. So that's, before the house even gets there, it's gonna be, but he said you gotta put it at the highest point, something with the slope of the land and the water drain off, and I had it on the other side, I had to push back as far as I could get it, and he told me how to redo everything, so.
Anybody else have any comments? I'm just still looking at places on the road.
Could you make the, like one of the conditions where it's so many feet from the right of way? Or would that?
It's the same. I mean, it's 10, and that's the issue is it's not how far from the center of the road you are. It's how far from the right of way that you are. And 10 feet is really close. you know, I mean, I'm just looking at the rest of the neighborhood. They're 20 to 45 feet is what most of those are from the road. This is our what, Leslie? Not that it matters because it's 100. but
R2.
it's still- It is the rural subdivision district. What y'all thinking? I'm just throwing it out there just for conversation about it.
I guess, you know, I don't wanna reject it, I don't wanna approve it, but maybe we can table it and see if he can get us a little more distance from the middle of the road.
Like I said, the builder's gonna try to put it back, right, so I'll try to put it back as far as I can
Yeah.
without.
But, you know, we need your builder to come down there and say, you know, we can do it, we can move it back 5 or 10 feet,
I got you.
if possible. That would be my suggestion,
Yeah.
to just table it until he can come back with a,
I'm open for a motion. Anybody or any other comments?
I'll motion to table.
Motion for table? Well, you second the motion.
I'll second.
Second.
What does table mean?
Basically, we're not gonna deny it or approve it. And it gives you more time to figure out where you can put this or how you can build it.
Gotcha.
If we deny it, you go to the commissioners, denied, your fees are gone. This leaves your application alive.
Can I speak?
Yep. Well, actually,
What would make it work? I mean, could we move it back 5 feet? And I'm gonna be quite honest with you. My daughter lives in the neighborhood. I have cancer. Get this from my wife to live next to her, so I don't have time as an option that a lot of people have, so. If you know, if it's 5, 10 foot, you know, that makes it work, then let's, you know.
you're looking for a number. All right.
Yeah, I'm looking for a number.
There's a motion on it. We have to vote the motion.
Yeah.
But we can turn it down and we can go back and talk.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. There is a motion to table it. In favor, raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Deny, left hand. Or right hand, whatever. Motion to deny.
Okay, then okay,
We're done. All right.
all right. Can you give us 10 feet?
I can tell the builder he's got to make it work with 10 feet.
But it'll be 20 feet total.
Yeah.
It'll be from the
Yeah, I
edge of the
just-
road.
Yeah,
Well, I'll make,
and I hate to put you on, I didn't want to bring that up.
all right,
you know,
that's
by any
fine,
means.
that's fine, that's fine.
But that's
I don't-
relevant. You can make a motion. Leslie, you can also, we typically have 10%. So if you come back and go, look, I get it to 19 or, you know, it's close.
Okay, I got you.
You know,
I just don't
we're
do
looking for
anything
20.
wrong. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I just,
Yeah,
that's why I'm being
Right.
over conservative and I probably
and,
shouldn't.
you know,
No, that's fine. Favor of a motion for setback of 20 feet from the edge of the right of way.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, raise your right hand. We're good, and we're giving Leslie 10%.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I apologize for
Oh,
having
no,
to bring
no
that
problem.
up. I did not
Fine.
mean to
Yeah.
throw that in there to you, but.
Yeah,
I
like I
just
said,
don't
time is
know.
up there. We've all had.
It's important.
Yeah,
Did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
It's
Thank you.
relevant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And that's county, so that's 2 weeks?
Yes.
April 21st. You got you right here. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
You said you were giving me 20%?
10%. 20 feet, 10%. That's what we typically do, isn't it,
Yeah.
within the county? Within,
Yeah.
I think it's 10.
yeah.
All right. Next we have 603 Margaret's Road. Is Miss Jessica Rowland here? Yes. Okay, so the issue with this, consideration of a variance request to allow the use and designation of an existing easement as a private road to serve multiple lots and to permit further subdivision of the subject property within the R2 zoning district. The applicant is requesting that an existing access easement be formally designated and approved as a private road. The purpose of this request is to allow the private road to serve up to 4 parcels with independent structures to improve 911 addressing, emergency response efficiency, and overall public safety identification. The subject property currently contains 1 existing residence and a pending permitted structure intended for use as a wildlife conservation center. Additionally, the applicant proposes to subdivide the existing 25-acre parcel into 2 parcels of approximately 12.5 acres each. The intent of the subdivision is to dedicate one of the newly created parcels to a nonprofit organization identified as CSRA's Wildlife Conservation Center, which will operate independently from the applicant's personal residence. Pursuant to the McDuffie County Code of Ordinances, lots are generally required to have frontage on a public road unless otherwise approved through a variance or private road designation process. The applicant is requesting approval to utilize an existing easement as a private road to serve multiple lots, which requires review and approval by the Planning Commission. The proposed private road is intended to serve up to 4 parcels, which exceeds typical single lot access standards and necessitates formal recognition to ensure compliance with county addressing and emergency service requirements. The subject property consists of approximately 25 acres, and the proposed subdivision into 2 12.5 acre lots meets the minimum lot size requirements of the R2 zoning district. The proposed use of 1 parcel for a wildlife conservation center may be permitted, subject to compliance with applicable zoning and use regulations under the McDuffie County Code of Ordinances. Designation of the access easement as a private road will require compliance with all applicable county standards, including but not limited to access, maintenance, and emergency service accessibility. Recommendation. Staff recommends approval of the variance request and private road designation, subject to the following conditions in accordance with the McDuffie County Code of Ordinances. The private road shall be constructed and maintained in compliance with all applicable county standards for private roads, including provisions for emergency vehicle access and 911 addressing. The private road shall be limited to serving no more than 4 acres unless further approval is granted by McDuffie County. A recorded access and maintenance agreement shall be required for all parcels utilizing the private road. The proposed subdivision shall comply with all applicable requirements of the McDuffie County subdivision regulations, including plat approval and recording. Any use of the property as a wildlife conservation center shall comply with all applicable zoning regulations and permitting requirements of McDuffie County.
All right, come on up and tell us first, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Jessie Rowland, and my present address is 603 Margaret's Road in Thompson. I do want to clarify 2 things. One, the permit is already issued. It's not a pending permit application, so it's issued as a barn on my personal residence. So this isn't my first time in front of y'all. Y'all probably don't remember me, but I came in about a year to a year and a half ago. My husband and I had purchased approximately 200 acres, or 199 at the time. Our goal for that when we purchased it was to just kind of have a homestead, and I've always been very passionate about animals. I've done some rigorous testing with DNR, so I am passed a wildlife rehabilitation test with DNR. What I'm seeking is not to rezone this property in order to support the facility. The term facilities is I've used as the terminology that's been required from DNR. You have to have proper facilities in place in order to receive your license to be in possession of essentially native wildlife in the state of Georgia. And I can answer any other questions y'all have about that. But anyways, going back to about a year and a half ago, we wanted to deed 3.5 acres over to my husband's aging parents, which we did do. At that time, I was granted an easement for the subdivision of that 200-acre tract that we purchased off of Margaret's into a 3.5 acre tract, which we gifted his parents and built them a single family residence. The next tract is a 25 acre tract where my personal residence sits on. I've since built that home. Both of those homes are construction complete, permitted, and CO'd with McDuffie County. And then we put the 171 acre last tract in its own, conservation covenant, and that's separate. So I think the main points that I want to make sure is clear and understood by everybody here is that my request is not to intensify the use or create any additional development. I know the term subdivision, especially in front of like general public, they think in terms of subdivision like multiple housing. My purpose is just to separate what is presently a 25 acre tract, which I own, that has my personal residence on it, into 2 equal 12.5 acre tracts. And the reason that I want to do that is because I'm not able to get homeowners insurance. One of the questions that they ask you, we just recently completed building our home on this property, and one of the questions that they ask you is, at any point on your property will there be non-domesticated animals? And as a licensed wildlife rehabilitator with DNR, a fawn is considered a non-domesticated animal. And so we've just encountered my builder's risk policy is getting ready to expire, and I'm having a hard time securing homeowners insurance with the barn that's currently permitted with McDuffie County. It's in current construction, being located on the same tract of land as my personal home. So that's kind of my spiel on what we're trying to obtain and the goal. I do remember when we came up here before, y'all said that if there's any further subdivision of the tract, because I had initially said, before I put it in conservation, I'd like to get a couple tracts to maybe gift. We've got kids that are, coming of age, and maybe gift to them and whatnot. We've got a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old, and I remember that this kind of panel and the commissioner's panel said, we're not going to give you anything for something you plan to do in the future. So I kind of took that, and I was going to roll with how it was. I'm building this barn, which will service me being in possession of, taking care of baby animals is essentially what it is. I'm the only licensed wildlife rehabilitator with DNR in this side of the state. Here comes my husband to help me. So
I'm just gonna get her to be quiet for a minute.
All right.
No, I'm kidding. I'm Hamp Rowland. I'm the husband of Jesse. One of my big concerns is the nonprofit. Somebody comes to drop an animal off, somebody gets hurt at the nonprofit, it is attached to our 25 acre. They sue us for everything we have.
Right.
That's one of my biggest concerns, because there are animals and people are dropping animals off. If somebody was to get hurt, it needs to be on its own parcel, so they can just come after that and not after 603 Margaret Road and take care.
Basically, it can't take our house, right? And I can get homeowners insurance on our property.
Yeah, that's a struggle too, the homeowners insurance.
I do want to say that this request does not request that we have any additional development rights. So my objection is not asking y'all to give me permission to subdivide this tract any further. Is it zoned R1 or R2?
It's R2.
Okay, so it's zoned R2. I mean, it's 12.5 acre tracts. I think that's well in line. I think the only thing that it's lacking with the zoning is the frontage, and that's why I had the coupled private road as a request. That was just for kind of ease and emergency services, since there are kind of multiple structures already being serviced by an easement. His parents' house is the first house. The second tract is the 25 acre tract with our house on it. And then you have that third tract. And so even now it's been established for over a year, I think maybe a year and a half. I mean, a GPS will not get you to our house. We've tried to get internet service. Nobody can find us, which that's part of being in the rural area. But I do think that the private road would help establish some of that for the purposes of emergency services. And nobody knows what the world holds. So if him and I leave here and get in a car accident, establishing that to be able to divide it and sell it, our heirs, all of that is kind of what I was after with that. I was trying to meet the criteria with the private road necessary for the division of the 25 to 12.5 acres.
All right. just jumping back, first of all, make sure everybody knows, these are my neighbors. Right. I live across the road now, and I was here the last time y'all came through. And just to refresh the last time, basically through, as the county, we do not approve flag lots, and that's basically what you have created here. They are prohibited within our zoning. But if you have over 50 acres, we have had exceptions that we've approved and gone through the commissioners, basically to break up 25 acres or greater. And we made an exception because of the way the front of this property is set up, and reduce that acreage. I believe it's, 3.5. I think at one point we were closer to 7, but that you were able for your parents to build a place here. I have done a little research on the insurance because Leslie had mentioned in your application that you had discussed that. And that is, I did talk to insurance agents, and that is a fact that having the wildlife will make it very difficult to get your homeowner's insurance on the property. That part I understand. Breaking the 25 acres in half, typically if you just come here to do that with the barn, I'd have more to say about it, but where it is a requirement, because of the insurance, it doesn't give me as much heartburn. It's still a large acre lot, so it meets the area. So I don't have any issues with kind of that. Have you been granted your license yet?
So they have to inspect to make sure. So
Right.
that's where the term facility is kind of being, they want to inspect proper facilities. They want to make sure that my medication is behind a lock. They want to make sure that there's some separation of species involved. So once the construction is complete, DNR comes and they'll issue the special permit associated with that.
Right.
She's passed
I've
the
passed the
test.
test.
You
I've met
passed
all
the
the other requirements. DNR offered to write me a letter. I was going to bring it to the commissioners, the one that comes after this, if it makes it that far.
Not really. That's not the difference. The difference is
It's really a
to get you-
conservation effort as well. And my 170 acre parcel, when we bought the 200, I put that 171 acres in. So I do want to be very clear. I know I'm here asking for a division of the 25 acres, but I'm not asking to create any additional development than what's already there. It's already, I mean, there's already our house, there's already the barn there. I'm just asking for some separation so that if something were to ever happen, I can't be sued for my house. And also, once my builder's risk policy is out, I no longer have homeowner's insurance, and that's up July 1.
Right. No issues with that. The private road, I'm not following. First of all, when we granted it, the reason for the easement, it is a 60-foot easement that if you in the future develop the property, you will have to put in a proper road to county standards.
Okay.
There is no requirements, Leslie, that I have found for a private road.
I was told, because I taught with, and this was just prior from my previous experience kind of going through this, and we're kind of in the industry a little bit, so I'm very familiar with how Columbia County is set up and how they implement their private roads and whatnot. I was just told that McDuffie County has never had a private road before, so there's nothing in
Right.
y'all's code that kind of outlines it. Like in Columbia, it's
That's-
60
that's-
foot wide, it's maintained by the owners that touch the property, it's,
That's the
Up to-
issue. We don't have
yeah,
an approval to approve
Okay.
a private road.
I see.
So,
One thing we were hoping, some reason our addresses take everybody in the middle of your cow pasture.
yeah.
yeah,
A half a mile
now that
down.
can be changed in the county, because where my house is located,
Yeah.
my address is not actually on that track.
Okay.
I have an easement across the pecan orchard
Yes, sir.
to my address. So if you look, it basically states, but my 911 is on the end of my driveway
Sure.
to my address, and the county has to set that for you,
Right.
for your 911.
Yeah, I mean, the way that it is right now, there's already 3 addresses. So I guess 601 is his parents, 603 is our present home.
Right.
With the 25 that I would like to be divided. And then that 170 acres, which we have in Akuba Conservation, and that's a 605. So I don't know if 607 exists or if we can make it exist.
It would
or,
probably
I don't
make
know.
your barn a 603A.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
603A is how they do that, because it's on that side of the road. That's how they're,
Oh, okay.
evens on one side, ups on the other property that I own adjacent to you, which is my older home, originally had a 529A and a B.
Right.
The garage, the shed that's over there, had a separate business in it when I bought it, and the county, because it was a special use permit,
I
they had a
gotcha.
separate address, and it was just a B on it.
We weren't gonna come back and ask for another track until one of our kids maybe wanted to build a house to take care of us one day, until we started building the structure. Our house is already done, and I'm shopping for homeowners insurance. That's what really prompted all this. And then we started talking and thinking, and then it became, well, what if somebody's dropping off a baby deer and they fall and get hurt? Now they're suing us taking our house, you know? So it's just,
They're gonna sue you.
we would like,
Yeah,
well,
but at
yeah,
least they can only
but at
sue a
least they could
nonprofit.
just have that 12.5 and not my house, you know? So that's,
And again, like I said, I'm the neighbor, so, and I'm being straight up with you. I don't have a problem with the dividing it. I don't think that's a problem. I do understand the homeowner's insurance thing. The private road, to me, doesn't fit. We can't approve.
sure,
If you had to approve it, you'd have to build it standard county roads in that easement,
yeah.
which presently you're kind of coming up the side just with the road, which is fine. I
Right.
mean, you can use whatever part of that easement as a driveway that you wish, or wherever you want on your property. But if you establish and like I said, I don't think we can even establish a private road because we don't have approvals for it. We don't have
Okay.
a process for it that says what
Okay.
you have to do.
Sure.
And the reason we set it up originally as a 60-foot easement,
Right.
because that was what you would be required to build a county road in there. If for some reason you ever wanted to break the rest of that 171-acre tract up into 25-acre tract.
Not us, but maybe somebody that gets it
yeah.
after us wants to.
Well, that's right, but then that ability is there.
Okay.
That you can, and again, you'd come back and say, here's our plan, now we're gonna break out a lot for one of the children or something that.
I was trying to solve one problem by implementing another, I think.
Right.
So I was trying to give me the frontage necessary on the private road to get the track.
You
That's
don't
why-
need the frontage.
Okay.
Yeah, the frontage is on a county road.
Perfect.
It's not on your private road. So it is really irrelevant to it. The only other thing that I would suggest is you cannot record your deed, and I'm putting this out for these guys to make recommendations of the separation. I guess you do need that letter from the county for approval. Not the county, the
DNR.
DNR, that you will be getting that. So once approved, I'm not sure how this is gonna work. Are you gonna get your license first, then break it out, or you're gonna break it out, then
Well,
get
I
your
wanted
approval?
to,
I probably got 3
we're
weeks
trying to
before we
break
do
this
an
off
inspection.
first.
First,
Yeah, because I'm coming up on a time frame where I have to get homeowners insurance.
right.
And then once the barn itself, the structure itself is in progress of construction with an active permit. So I think the timeline, if I understand it, would be the barn gets finished simultaneously it would be divided onto a separate track, and I can record it however you want. I'm not gifting that parcel to this nonprofit.
No,
I
no.
want that's okay. So it's
That's
the
what I'm
the
saying.
parcel.
I'm just saying that the division of the property is contingent on your approval to have a license.
Oh, yes. So I don't know how y'all would make that happen. I could get you a letter from DNR that says once this facility is completed, as soon as this facility is complete, they'll be doing an inspection and giving the license.
Have that for the commissioners if it's
that's
approved.
They offered to write that letter for me already. I just told them I didn't think it was necessary at this time.
Yeah. All right.
We should be doing the inspection hopefully in
Within 30 days.
3 weeks.
And you have separate insurance on the animal facility?
Yes. It will be heavily insured as well.
Okay.
Separate from our
So
home.
that would be after you establish that you're getting the license, establish the track, and you have insurance, you need to show proof of all three.
That's right.
All two to have three type of thing. So they all have to be.
So to make sure I understand, is the letter from DNR special permit saying that once this facility is inspected, they'll be issuing the license going to be
That suffices.
sufficient for the meeting in 2 weeks?
I would say that suffices.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's proof that you're actually doing that to break out the.
Okay.
At the
Sure.
end of the day, your license is good for 5 years, so you can let it expire and not renew it. And still have a broke out
We
track.
better not let it expire much as
Not
this
after-
barn's costing me.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's not a temporary.
Understood.
The only other thing is it's not a business, correct?
So the parcel remains in possession and owned by us, and the structure is owned by us, we will essentially rent that to an established nonprofit, which is an established entity already as CSRA's Wildlife Conservation Center.
So in short.
So
a
it's
business.
already insured, and it will have proper insurance under that.
All right, the only other thing you may have then, it's home-based, and this may get to the commissioners, and Chase may pick up on something like this, you may have to have a home-based permit for a business.
Yeah, because it is a business.
It is a business.
Yeah.
All right, so what is, enlighten me. What do I have to do?
You may have to have a business license for
Oh,
that
yeah. I'll
establishment.
get a business license in McDuffie County. Yeah, it's gonna have a business license, yes. Sorry. Yes,
It's
it will
just
have a
one-
proper business
It's
license.
just one more fee, that's all.
Well, it is, but you may have to come back for a special use on it, is what I'm
Yeah, because
wondering.
we didn't approve a business.
Yeah, and it's not on this application, is it?
Yeah.
We didn't approve it on the.
So to run a business out of your home. Now, there is other things that they're home-based things are approved, so it may already just be a permit, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
Or may have to look after, and it's not nothing in it that would stop you, because
I gotcha.
we're here, it's just that type of business is regulated based on R2 requirements.
I see.
In other words, running a business that has a bunch of dump trucks and equipment and stuff parked in your yard is one thing. Working on them and, that kind of stuff at a home business is a different thing under different requirements. So, yeah, it may just require a business license. It may already be as a home business type of thing approved.
So should I just submit a business application to McDuffie County under this entity that's already established tomorrow?
Probably. Up to
And
Leslie
see what
and
happens, and if I need to go through this again for that separate special exemption?
Yeah.
Or could we just add it to this now? No? I gotta redo it.
Can't add it because we have to post.
Okay.
It has to be in the paper, so it comes under a special exemption for home business. That property that I had owned adjacent, or one property over from you there, they originally had it was a cabinet shop, so it was approved for a special use permit for a cabinet shop
Okay,
for that purpose, so that afterwards, if you decide not to be a animal shelter place, you can't put a cabinet shop in there.
oh,
Say
I
this
see,
is a
okay.
business. It's
That's
always
kinda
been a
what
bu-
that first hearing was about, that y'all just heard? It used to be a barber shop, now it's a
Right,
daycare?
it's kind
So
of the
kinda
same thing. So you're going to operate a business within a residential area.
Okay,
This may just fall in a home-based business that doesn't
so.
require anything further.
That would
But
be
it
more-
may, is what I'm telling you, it may require a special use that,
And that would be different because it's still a barber shop, so that's not the same.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Some of that stuff is
Yeah,
approved.
that's totally different.
Okay,
And
well,
we'll look at it with
whatever is
Leslie, because it could
required.
be where it's a non-profit, even though it's a business, it may just be a home-based, because it's not,
It is a nonprofit, and I
nonprofit,
think that
yeah.
was all included in my packet. It's already been approved.
Right.
Our business lawyer took care of all that.
yeah.
So I do not have an established business license in McDuffie County yet, but that's because the
And
structure
home-based
wasn't
doesn't require
completed.
it. So that's what I say, it may fall under that,
Okay.
we're just talking about nothing right now, but don't be surprised if there's something that says it's because of the type of business, it is special use.
Alrighty,
All right, I'll open this for motions or more questions or answers.
So it seems like
We need to,
the major issue tonight is the subdivision of the 25 acres so she can get homeowners insurance.
Homeowners insurance and have a proper business on the other side. That is correct.
but for the private road part, we need to go ahead and deny
Deny.
this because,
We can
yeah,
do that.
so I make a motion
Deny.
that we deny it because McDuffie County doesn't allow private roads.
Right.
sure.
I second that part. Looks like we're gonna have to do more than one motion, right?
It's one total,
One
but
motion,
yeah, it would be
one
one, the only thing we're approved, yeah, how do we do that, Leslie? It's a motion to approve the.
Just say yes or no.
Right. Somebody make a motion with the denial in it, and then we'll say yes or no. Full motion.
I make a motion that we deny the private road access because McDuffie County does not have it.
With the
And
motion
with
to
the-
approve.
If the motion,
Same motion.
if it's
And
approved.
Yeah.
And approved,
Yeah.
The 12.5 acres so they can get homeowners insurance.
Right.
yes, that too.
That's what I was asking. Are
we
you gonna
do
require
separate?
two separate motions?
Don't do two separate ones.
I think it's just
Okay.
one motion with
Yeah.
an approval
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
denial on it, but I don't make the rules.
Raise both hands.
Yeah,
You don't want that. You want to take care of your homeowners insurance first.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
the roads, that's not something we can do.
Yes,
ma'am.
But you have to be specific.
Put that on to,
Right. Well, I'm just thinking when it goes to the commissioners, I think it needs to be, yeah, they may separate it.
Yeah.
So it's two motions. First motion is motion to deny the road. Second,
I second it.
all in favor?
uh,
All right. Motion to approve the subdivision of the property.
I'll make a motion.
First and second, all will approve. All right,
So
we got that? Yep.
We're clear
Yes,
now.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Thanks.
Y'all have a good night.
Have a good night.
Excuse me.
All right.
Sorry? You need something?
Taking all those papers too?
Oh, I don't think so. Oh, maybe I did. I'm so sorry. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, April 21st. Right back here.
21st. I do have one question now that I'm walking away, so sorry. The 12.5 acres, do you want me to just communicate with Leslie on where that division is, and I have a
That's
survey
fine.
drawn up, however is best acceptable?
Yeah.
Yep,
And have that ready
yeah,
for-
because the road frontage, like you said, on your
Okay.
easement makes no difference.
Okay, all right.
That's good.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay,
All right.
last one. This is for 2576 Ginger Hill Estates Road. It is a R2. The issue is consideration of a special exception request to allow the keeping of small livestock animals within the R2 zoning district. The applicant, Ms. Holland, has submitted a request for a special exception to permit the raising and keeping of small livestock animals on the subject property. The property is currently zoned R2, which requires planning commission review and approval for such uses. Facts and findings. The applicant proposes to keep small livestock animals including goats, chickens, rabbits, pigs, and potentially turkeys. Pursuant to McDuffie County Code Section 34-29, the keeping of livestock is subject to minimum lot area requirements, setback distances, and adjacent dwellings and other applicable standards. The subject parcel consists of approximately 1.88 acres, which may support limited livestock activity provided all applicable code requirements are met. The proposed use is considered compatible with surrounding residential and semi-rural uses, provided that adequate buffering, enclosure, and maintenance standards are maintained in accordance with county regulations. All animals must be properly contained and managed to prevent nuisance conditions, including noise, odor, and encroachment onto neighboring properties consistent with McDuffie County ordinances. There is a declaration of protective covenants, conditions, and restrictions document from the Ginger Hill subdivision restricting animals. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the submitted materials for the special exception request. If the request is approved, the following conditions should apply. All livestock shall comply with applicable minimum lot area and require setback distances from adjacent dwellings. All animals shall be maintained within secure enclosures. The use shall be limited to personal, non-commercial purposes. No sale of animals or animal products is permitted. The property shall be maintained in a manner that does not create a nuisance to adjacent properties, including but not limited to noise, odor, and sanitation concerns. And I believe we do have some people to speak. We have Ms. Holland and her neighbors, some neighbors here to speak as well.
All right, let's have Miss Holland, is it?
Yes.
Come on up first and state your name and address for the record, please. All right, good time.
Shannon Holland, 2576 Ginger Hill Estates Road. My husband would usually do this, but he's currently deployed, so I'm kind of all over the place right now.
No problem. That's all right.
We just would like the exception. It's for my kids. We're trying to homestead a little bit on our property. We're not going to have a whole lot. It's just for them. My daughter has a lot of health-related risks. She has a hard time eating normal eggs. The eggs that we have, they're good for her. She doesn't throw up after. For as far as the goats go, we basically want goat milk so that I can make her soap because she's allergic to a lot of stuff found in commercially produced soaps. As far as future rabbits and pigs, it's just to feed our family. That's all. We just want to be a little more self-sufficient, a little more independent. They've got lots of medical stuff. Any questions? I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place.
No, I'm good. I just wanted to hear what your plans are.
That's basically it. I'm just trying to create a good life for my kids. I'm from the woods of Maine, so being this close to people is kind of new to me.
All right.
Is that all the animals?
That would be it. Currently, we do have the chickens and the goats, which my mama says if you guys say no, we can bring them to her. She's rural.
How many?
4 chickens, 3 goats. It's not a whole lot. We were wanting to expand the chicken herd for a little man's birthday, but we would have no more than 12 at all in total ever.
Roosters?
No, sir.
All right,
We wouldn't even have a billy goat. We would stud out, like have a stud come in or bring our girls to get AI'd and everything. So.
all right. Let's see. Has anybody signed up to speak? Come on up.
Good evening.
How you doing? State your name, please, and your address.
It's Michael White, 2566 Ginger Branch Road, which is in the Ginger Hill Estates subdivision.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's fine. That's just for the record. That's procedural. We have to do that, sorry.
So before I get started speaking about the neighbors' objections, we have a petition. I was wondering if this could be entered into the record. These are the neighbors who oppose the livestock in our neighborhood.
Okay. You can pass those to Leslie there, or leave them there. He'll get them.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll get them.
Thank you. All right. So I'd like to start off by talking about a personal experience with this same request for livestock in our neighborhood. My wife and I moved into the neighborhood in 2013. In 2015, our next door neighbors brought in 2 horses on, I would say at least, I think about an acre of land. And before animal control could get these horses out of here, the horses had decimated the entire 1 acre. It looked like a desert, and really couldn't go outside in the evening because of the stench. And my point of breaking was when I saw the horses eating sweet gum leaves out of the trees. We knew these horses were not being taken care of. So that's a lot of our concerns. I've so far heard up to 12 different types of animals, including pigs. So when I read the code, it says that uses permitted by right include agriculture. And agriculture, within agriculture, there is livestock. And it says that providing that tracts of land at least 3 acres in size. So I don't see that as being a special exception that could be granted just based on, it's there in writing, has to be at least 3 acres. And then from what I read on the R2 for uses by special permit, that mainly addresses related various types of facilities. It does not mention agriculture or livestock as eligible for a special exception.
Okay, and where were you reading the 3 acres? In the R1?
Let's see.
In the R1 district?
No, sir. It is yes, it's in zoning. It's 4422 definitions of agriculture.
That's just the definition?
Yeah. Sir?
That's the definition of agriculture?
Well, there's a lot of other practices in there, like, I'm trying to think. There's several different.
Which, did you say 42?
Sir,
4442?
4422,
Oh, 22, I'm sorry.
definitions.
Yeah, okay, it's just in the definitions. Yep. That's- Looking at what you're reading is all I want to get to. It's a big area. All right, that's the definitions for all of the zoning.
Sir?
That's the definitions for all of the zoning, agricultural?
Yes, that goes for all those definitions apply, from what I understand, if they're applicable to the zone.
That is correct.
So R1, R2, and R3, as far as I know, would be the only zones that would be
It's just a definition for agriculture within the whole document.
correct.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's R1, R2, R3, it's industrial, everything.
Yes.
It's
Yes, sir.
just a definition, yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
All right.
Minimum of 3 acres, so I don't know how, there had to be some thought going into why 3 acres were decided to be the minimum required tract of land. And I don't know what the answer is as far as code goes, is to change the definition in the code to allow everyone.
The 3
in the
acres only
county.
it only applies to commercial timber under that definition. Correct?
I don't have that definition in front of me. I know that livestock is in that definition of agriculture.
Raising of soil, crops, livestock, fish, fowl, excuse me, commercial timber in a customary manner on tracts of land at least 3 acres in size, including all associated activities. Retail selling, there's none of that. Premises permitted to provide space necessary for parking. Somebody'd have to read the definition, but yeah, 3 acres. Let's go with that. All right, what was your next?
So we have we've had concerns about maintaining the maximum value of our property. Not to have our property adversely affected by the animals, which there is a possibility. Would think that in the future, if this is approved, that animal control or code enforcement will probably pay a visit if things are not being maintained or taken care of like they should have. This is the first house that you see when you come into the neighborhood, and there's only one road in and one road out. So anyone coming in the neighborhood looking at houses for sale may have they may decide maybe this is not the area for them.
Right.
So we want to maintain the best basic elements of a balanced and attractive residential area. I don't see how, at this level, how attractive it could be to have 12 animals in the yard of various types of pens and enclosures, and I'll get into some other things. And we want to be protected from the encroachment of uses not performing a function necessary to the residential environment. So I would think livestock is not essential or necessary to the residential environment. So some other things that neighbors have brought up as concern is the current property is not maintained very well. The grass most of the time around the house is not maintained. It doesn't reflect what our neighborhood looks like, where people maintain their yard and cut their shrubbery and pick up the debris and dispose of it. We want to know what experience or education. I believe she mentioned she had some experience with animals before. Maybe I didn't catch it all.
Didn't say anything like that. No.
Okay. So what experience or education does the owner have with raising livestock and all that goes with it, such as disposing of waste? How do you control the insects? What measures to prevent livestock from coyotes that live around Germany Creek? Germany Creek from my house is probably, I don't know, maybe less than 1/8 of a mile from my house to Germany Creek. And we can hear coyotes all of the time howling on our side of Germany Creek. So is the livestock, are they being vaccinated? Are they legal with the state of Georgia as far as agriculture is concerned? what are they being fed? Are they, if it's a pig or a hog, or are they being fed garbage or scraps? I mean, we have legitimate concerns. Of course, we're not going to be controlling every step that they move. It is their house, but these are things that people would probably want to know. The enclosures are, I believe it was said that they will be in accordance with the code. What happens with the overpopulating of the livestock? What happens when 12 now becomes 15 and I can't get rid of it, and now I just keep gathering more and more animals? And I looked at the definition of livestock for the state of Georgia, and there are 14 individual animals or classes of animals that are considered livestock.
Right, and that's part of why they would be here, because there would be if approved, there would be a list or a restriction on what could be used in this, because it is a subdivision. You have anything else? Because you get about 10 minutes.
Yes, sir, just a few more. What happens with the deceased livestock? If a livestock dies, does she have a plan to dispose of that, or is this going to be a burden on the county to come and pick up a dead animal? Do they have adequate water and shade? Just the basic things about keeping it. I'm an animal lover. I've been a dog owner my entire life. So what our request to the planning board is to deny the request in Ginger Hill Estates for livestock, because the property does not meet the minimum condition of 3 acres. And my interpretation is there's no path for use permitted by a special exception for livestock. We're also requesting that all livestock be removed until the final decision is made. And also want to bring to the board's attention that I was gone for 6 weeks, and I came back on the 24th of March. I did not see a sign in the yard for zoning. So I walked my dog maybe 4 or 5 different routes, went up that route towards Ginger Hill Road, and I see the sign is laying on the ground. So, it did not, some of the neighbors I talked to didn't even know that there was a request for zoning for livestock. And on the 31st of March, the sign was put back up by Mr. Walker. So that's, we don't want the floodgates open to be out of control. And then, the word gets out, and then all of McDuffie County now is asking for exceptions. So it's just something to be aware of.
All right, and that's what special exemptions are for. They're, not all special exemptions are listed under the requirements. They're not needed, they're not required to be. They're just examples of special requests. And that's why we have the process for this. In terms of the sign, Leslie, I'm assuming the sign was put in time in place?
Yes.
We can't dictate what happens to the sign.
No.
It was posted in the papers, so the requirements were made. If somebody knocks the sign down, there's nothing we could do.
Well, that's all I have. Do I need to stand up here for the?
No, you're good. That's good. Thank you. Is anybody else signed up that wants to speak? I'm assuming that you'd stated you had the petition, so I gave you the 10 minutes that you'd have for a group.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that. So yes, the sign was put out mid-March, early. And Ms. Holland just said the sign was falling down in the wind and everything. She was trying to put it back up, but couldn't get it to stand up. So
right.
I did go out and see that at the end of March, checking on all the signs. I put it back up.
Just jumping back on the covenants, that was an HOH or a covenants? And there's not a copy of it here. That's what I was wondering.
Covenants, I believe. Yes, Declaration of Protective Covenants.
You had said animals, so that kind of, I was wondering if it was animals or livestock. No, we're not going to read this either.
No animals, livestock, or poultry.
Pardon me. Oh, you did that. Livestock, animals. Yeah, livestock. Raised on the lot, except for dogs, cats, and other household pets. All right, that is it. It is. 1 second, I just gotta blow it up so I can read it. Yeah, it's recorded. Here's the page and book. I don't know what we even do. There. Y'all want to see this?
There's some
Yeah, I just wanted it for the record. Be all had seen it. I wanted to have it on here.
Yeah.
All right. This is the covenants for this subdivision. I mean, the only thing I've got to ask about this, Leslie, is this land within this subdivision. Yeah. Construction, covenants, conditions. I'm just looking here to see what it, definitions. Land use, building type. General requirements. Refuge. Motorhomes. Mobile. All right. Exhibit interest on the person incorporated. So that's what they quickly do. Square property is construction, warranty deed. Just give me 1 sec, folks. I just want to look something up here. As far as it goes back in '87. About this track here. Well, I can't figure that out. What I was trying to look up, in case anybody's wondering, is you have this that describes the subdivision, but does this describe that land of all those houses in that subdivision?
Restate that question.
This is a deed restriction for the subdivision of Ginger Hill.
Yes.
Ginger Hills. But what it doesn't tell me, and it does tell me, but I don't know, where is that subdivision? Because it was 200 acres, being more particularly described as parcel B on plot survey. John McGill did it back in 77, copy of the plot. Official recorded reference, and there was specified made aid, more complete and detailed description of the property, merits, bonds, course, and distance. Less lots, hereby, less the lots heretofore conveyed and quit claimed, leaving approximately 169 acres, said plot being recorded. Less the lots hereby conveyed.
What happens to finding the original plat that was approved
Leaving
for the
approximately
subdivision?
170 acres.
I couldn't find that name anywhere.
I'm gone. Well, it's probably before they had the records of it from the original landowner. Okay. It does say Ginger Hill Estates, but it doesn't say Ginger Hill
Yeah,
subdivision.
and that's what you got, two different ones. So Paul then said it.
Sure, of course.
So you see how we do have the two different ones? That one is for that.
Ginger Hill. Bring that back 1 second, Leslie.
The Hutchinson Estate.
Yeah, we're trying to see if it's this. See how it's got Ginger Hill Estates, and then we got the Ginger Hill Road.
Right.
Is that one Ginger Hill Road?
It says Ginger Hills, but it doesn't have a road or estate.
So you got Ginger Hill Estate,
Yeah.
Ginger Hill Road. You got Lawrence, Ginger Hills. All right. Before I get into some stuff, besides this, does anybody else have any comments or questions on animals and that kind of stuff, or? You can come back up for a minute and just quickly answer some questions.
As far as previous animal experience, I do in fact have that. I used to work on a ranch with horses, and where I grew up, we had a lot of chickens and gardens and all of that. I also know how to maintain fences, again, working on the ranch. As for waste disposal, we do have a compost pile currently in orbit, which has a perfect carbon to nitrogen ratio, so you're not going to get any of that smell. As for any deceased animal, I would personally bury them myself, and or if it's the chickens, if it's a butcher, then we would take care of that, put everything back in the compost, and then that would become dinner. As for them getting out and becoming a nuisance, I'm rotationally grazing my chickens in my backyard. If they're worried about curb appeal, I mean, I'm more than happy to plant like hedge trees so that nobody can really look into my yard. As for the mowing incident that he brought up, yes, my yard is slightly overgrown. I've been having a hard time starting my lawnmower. It's a riding one. I got to jump it off. It's been a thing. It's on my to-do list. Now, with the care of my animals, I am very much, that is the forefront. They are going to be vaccinated. I have to wait for them to get a little bit older. They're still babies, but I am going to have the goats vaccinated, and they will be up to date on all shots and testing. Does that answer?
Yeah, that answers some of the questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me answer.
Yep, that's good.
May I clarify something?
Very quickly.
So, just to clear it up, whether that house is in our neighborhood, this is Ginger Hill Estates on the Covenant, and her
Right.
address is Ginger Hill Estates Road.
Right.
So,
That doesn't.
I mean, I just wanted to make sure that was clarified.
Yeah, the problem that I have, and I don't have a problem with, if that covenant is fact to these properties, there's no answer. But it doesn't specifically state these properties. It just says Ginger Hills. There's Ginger Hill Estate, Ginger Hill Road. It's 200 acres, less 40-some acres that was taken out. Very clear. But you know, if you had come with your deed and said, here's my deed on this property, and my deed shows the restriction, it would list that on your deed.
It does.
That's what you'll have to have. That would simplifies it, you know. The only reason that we're still talking about it is that document doesn't show that that property is in that, unless somebody goes and figures that out. Do you understand what I'm getting at? It doesn't tell me where Ginger Hills is. It tells me the district and its coordinates of 200 acres. But when you look up all of your properties in this neighborhood, none of them link back to that document by sales that was listed as the original person that broke the properties out and had it surveyed by John McGill. Most of them only go back to the 80s. And this was done in 77. I'm not sure why, it's just RQ Public, and that's all I have in front of me to go look it up.
Okay.
You know, on the other note of having animals in a subdivision, horses, goats, pigs, that kind of stuff, typically, within our zoning, it does not fit for those kind of animals. Chickens in a chicken coop, nobody else in the neighborhood has a chicken in a chicken coop. You know, rabbits, that kind of a small animal, that's what we're here for. I mean, I'll open it up for motions on the animals, if somebody wants to put something forward. The only thing, in terms of any motion that's made here, if that document can tie to these lands, there is no need for anything further. It is it proves that the property is deed restricted, ma'am, if that is the case. The only thing where they're lacking here tonight is there's nothing that shows us that these properties are listed or linked to that document. And I'm sure that somebody will go find that, and if you find that, there's no animals anybody can have in that subdivision except for dogs and cats. So. Yes. Yep.
We are residents on Ginger Hill Estate Road. I have my warranty deed when we bought our property back in 1988 or 88, I think
Yep.
it was. It plainly states protective covenants. Well, no, I'm saying protective covenants recorded and book such and such.
Right.
Pay such.
It should match that document.
I do have that.
You have that with you?
Not with me, I didn't think I needed it, but I can get it.
Yeah.
There's 3 roads in that subdivision. There's Ginger Hill Estates Road, there's Oak Villa Road, and there's Ginger Branch Road.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Yeah, I think Leslie will do his motion to table. If you have that, basically, and your deed also will have that on it.
Yeah.
As does mine.
Right, so and again, that matches, that's what I'm looking for, is your deed, somebody's deed that states this document, that property, nobody in that neighborhood is allowed to have animals. Because when you bought the property, you agreed to that restriction. Everybody
I owned
did.
my property 4 years before she did.
Right.
I'm the oldest resident in the neighborhood.
Right. That's the document Leslie needed, and we wouldn't actually be here tonight.
so what, do we need to bring a copy
Yes.
to you
Yes, ma'am.
and your office is in the courthouse?
Yes, it's in this building. Just go down like a Golden Pay
No,
Water
they'll
bill.
table it to be done,
Planning
I think.
or community development.
If I bring it to you in the morning, will that help?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, we're gonna table it for now. That document gets to Leslie, basically ties these properties to that document there. Unfortunately, ma'am, you bought a property, you may have, it does look that way, that is deed restricted. There is covenants within the neighborhood. It's not a homeowner association. If a homeowner is totally different, if that was something that was put in place 25 years ago and nobody has enforced it, there's nobody in charge of the homeowner association, it wouldn't be valid. But a deed restriction is valid. So we have a motion, somebody to table it? Second? All in favor of motion to table? Leslie will let you know. And like I said, ma'am, your deed also, quitclaim or warranty deed, it will be on there that states that document as the lady has stated. It refers to it, and that's what you're actually supposed to go look it up and see what your restrictions are. So, and all right. Thank you. All right, that's it, Leslie.
All I got.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Overtime, 2 sessions in a row.
I know I got it.
Well, he's got to buy pizza next time.